Hey everybody, this is Debbie and I'm here with Alton and Alton Jones, and we are at the Great American Real Estate Summit in Las Vegas, Nevada for another edition of Ask Ron.
All right.
All right, Alton, our first question is from Tommy from Virginia.
Hey, Tommy.
I contacted a seller who had a free and clear house appraised at $395 and tax assessed value of $402. They said they did not want owner financing because it would show income. What do they mean by this, and is this a suspect?
Tommy, that sounds like a suspect because they all have a free and clear property, and even though you believe some of what you see, none of what you hear, because they're telling you what the value is. It's really up to you what the value is determined to be based on comps that they have in and around that property. And the fact that they want to sell a property, it sounds like they want a cash out sale versus a owner finance, because owner finance would spread that capital gains tax that they would have if it's a non-owner occupied property and they're not living in it. They're probably are going to be subject to some type of tax base when they sell, and they're thinking that if they sell it, they're not going to reap the benefits of that. So you have to look at that person and ask them maybe one more time, would they consider that? Maybe show them some different options. But if they don't want to do that, then you have to determine that they're a suspect and move on.
All right, great, thank you. Okay, next is Phil from Ohio.
Hey, Phil.
If I lease option from a landlord, a seller, and then I lease option the property to a tenant buyer, how do I protect myself if the landlord dies, goes bankrupt, or disappears? I need to be able to transfer the house immediately to my tenant buyer if he exercises his option. But if the house is tied up in probate or bankruptcy, how can I get the title under those circumstances? Can a land trust be used?
Yes, and you know what? It's a great question, and people run into that kind of situation all the time. And this is one of the reasons why you always want to close with an attorney. The one thing you can do, and I've known people have done this in the past, is that they can get the deed signed over already into your trust name, and and be held in escrow with your attorney. And some things in case when that time comes, you can, if that person passes away, because your agreement doing a lease option, when that seller dies, that person dies, the contract dies with them. But if you have a grant deed already signed or a warranty deed already signed over, but it's held in escrow, that's one of your protections there you can have. But again, you have to consult with your local attorney out there to see if you could do that in your state.
Okay, next, Matt from Illinois.
Hey, Matt.
When you buy a pretty house on a wraparound mortgage, do you or your servicing company send the seller's lender any type of letter or documentation telling them that they will no longer be receiving the monthly mortgage payment from the seller, but instead you?
Right. No, what I do is, number one, first thing when you're dealing with a wraparound mortgage and you're trying to get control over the seller's mortgage, and you want to communicate, you want to have an authorization to release information filled out so that they know you can speak on behalf of that mortgage. And then once that happens and everything goes through, you have the mortgage note. You don't want to ring too many bells to the lender, because you could have a due on sale clause that can happen. Typically most mortgages have that. But what you can do is have the seller, with his mortgage statement, change the address of where the statements are coming to. And that way, even though the mortgage is being paid in the seller's name, that mortgage statement is coming to you, to your office, and to your mailbox, so that way you're making the mortgage payment directly to them. The banks don't care who pays the mortgage as long as the mortgage gets paid. You can have Mickey Mouse pay the mortgage and it really don't matter. So you just want to make sure it gets paid on time. See, if you're paying the mortgage on time, you're not going to have an issue with the bank. The only time you're going to have issue with the bank is when they stop getting a payment. Would you agree with that? So just make sure when you get your authorization release, you can speak on behalf of the seller. That's done in writing. Typically it takes 24 to 48 hours, depending on the bank, to get you on their list of persons that can speak on behalf of that seller. Once the transaction goes through, you want to make sure all those statements come to you directly to your mailbox, and that way it's not bothersome to the seller in that process. So, and that way if something changes, you're going to get alerted first. So that's pretty much it.
All right, that's all we have this week. Thank you so much, Alton.
All right. See you later, guys.